My husband went to a work dinner with a woman and was gone 5 hours. My husband of 6 years works in a field where sales reps are constantly vying to get him to use their products. One of the ways they do this is by putting on dinners at upscale restaurants, think expensive steakhouses, and inviting groups to come listen to a presentation about the product in exchange for a free steak dinner. So far this year, my husband has attended upwards of 40 of these dinners. I find this a little excessive, especially considering we have a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old at home, and I rarely get a reciprocal night out. For context, we've been out together without the kids 4 times in the past year. I have asked him to cut back on these dinners, but he refuses, saying he hopes to leverage these relationships into brand-sponsored speaking opportunities that could become a temporary source of secondary income. To his credit, this has happened before and he made some good money before his stint as a speaker ended. Any time I complain about the number of dinners he attends, he accuses me of not caring about our financial situation, or even outright trying to sabotage it. It is my understanding that he attends far more of these dinners than most people in his field. Okay, on to the dinner in question. Last week he forwarded me a screenshot of a text from a sales rep who said she would be in town for 2 nights and wanted to have dinner with just him while she was there. This is fairly unusual, as most dinners are group affairs with friends and colleagues. On one other occasion he has met with a sales rep one-on-one, but it was an older man. On this occasion, it was an attractive woman around our age. I looked her up on the socials. They agreed to meet on Monday at 6:30 at a nice tapas restaurant in an expensive part of town because, according to my husband, it was close to her hotel. Made sense, though I raised an eyebrow at his phrasing. He got annoyed, but I pointed out that it was a dumb thing to say to your wife when you're meeting a woman for dinner at a nice restaurant. He left the house at 6:04. For context, I am extremely sleep-deprived. I'm up with the new baby several times a night, and my husband has refused to participate in night feedings. So, by 9 o'clock I was tired and really wanted to sleep, but the baby was colicky and crying, and it was keeping my toddler awake. I texted my husband to find out when he thought he'd be home so I could have a sense how long it'd be before I could sleep. In the text I said it was NBD, just give me a ballpark idea of when you'll be home. He didn't respond. He wears an Apple Watch and is constantly responding to texts on his phone, so it was annoying to me that he couldn't give me an ETA after 3 hours at dinner. I called him at 9:15 and he sent me straight to voicemail. I called again at 9:30 with the same result. At this point I texted and told him I was calling the restaurant. When I did, the host told me there was no one in the restaurant, and he could confidently say that no one matching my husband's description had been into the restaurant at all that night. I texted that I was calling his parents to see if they had heard from him. They hadn't. Finally, at almost 10 o'clock, I texted and told him not to come home. 15 minutes after my last text, he sent me an automated text from his GPS app telling me he'd be home by 10:20 p.m. I texted again and told him to go to his parents' house. He showed up anyway and I wouldn't let him in. He didn't have keys. He said I was acting crazy. He said the tapas restaurant was more like a sports bar so they went to a nicer place across the street. He said his phone was in his pocket on silent, except he had to have declined the calls in order to send me straight to voicemail. He said he was trying to generate revenue for our family. He said my self-esteem was not his problem. He said my behavior had better be a symptom of PMDD. He said I was creating events in my mind. Long story short, I didn't let him in. He slept at his parents' and came over to the house in the morning to get his stuff. He's there again tonight, after going to yet another dinner, and likely will be for the foreseeable future. I think his behavior was shady and disrespectful to me, but he thinks I've blown the whole thing out of proportion. I'm so tired that I can't make sense of it, and I need to ask Reddit if I'm justified in my anger, or if he's right and I'm blowing this out of proportion. What do you think? Thanks in advance. TLDR, my husband went to a work dinner with a woman, was gone for 5 hours, wasn't where he said he'd be, and wouldn't respond to my calls and texts. Now he's calling me crazy and paranoid.
Alright, let's dive into the next story and see what else Reddit has in store for us.
What to do after a failed proposal. Now I, 28M, live awkwardly with my girlfriend, 27F. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years, and 6 months ago, she asked me to propose to her within 6 months, which I did. During this time she hinted heavily that she wanted an engagement ring with particular stones that were difficult to come by at a regular jeweler, so I had to buy it from Glamra. It ended up costing more than $500, which was more than I wanted to spend, but I was so sure she was going to be my spouse that I could stretch my budget, since she appreciates it so much when she gets something she loves, and this ring was perfect. The time comes and I propose. I do all sorts of lovely shit and creative stuff to make it a perfect proposal, and she accepts before starting to cry as she reveals she is unsure if she loves me because her job has been so stressful lately, and her feelings had developed since telling me she wanted to be engaged. It hit me like a brick wall, and I thought my life was pretty much over. We had a week's break before getting back together to try a second time. Things are working out somewhat fine, but we're not at the point we were in the past. That is pretty clear. Now I was going to return the ring as it wasn't engraved or anything, but now Glamra's fucking return policy fucks me in the ass, telling me I can't return it because a piece of fucking paper is cut on the ring. Everything was returned, including the box and all certificates, but the paper that was attached to the ring was removed temporarily in the proposal, and I won't get to return it. I get very pissed off at the world by wanting to be alone and not talk, since I've essentially lost $500 on a worthless ring that I can't use for anything. What sucks so much is that I bought it because the woman I love told me it was the thing she wanted the most in the world. Now I'm afraid I'm going to resent her for making me waste so much. She simply said, "That sucks," and carried on with her day. I feel like it's very unfair for me to take the hit when she changed her mind without hinting or telling me. Do you guys think this relationship is just doomed to fail at this point, or is it worth trying to mend it? Am I being unreasonable for thinking I shouldn't be responsible for taking the $500 loss alone? And is Glamra the worst jewelry company in the world? Edit, I'll let the money go. I understand it's petty of me to let it bother me so much. It's just that it is the latest thing that has been going on. As for the relationship, it seems like it is all doom and gloom according to Reddit. I'll keep thinking on it and I'll see what I'll do. I'm at least going to be working on myself, that's for sure. Edit 2, Reddit is so harsh on cheap engagement rings. It almost makes me think half if you are working in the jewelry industry. It's only a ring, it shouldn't be the basis of the entire relationship. Edit 3, I don't know if it's an American thing, but spending $500 on a ring is considered fair over here. My friends who are engaged or married have spent in the range of $200-$1,000, and it has not been a contentious problem for them. Edit 4, people are still commenting on the price of the ring. I'm not from America. Everyone I talked to was fine with the price of it. Hell, not everyone over here proposes with a ring. It's definitely just Americans who are this obsessed with engagement rings. As for the relationship, the reason why she rejected the proposal was that she felt some slight feelings for someone at work. She never acted on those feelings, but she said they were there. She moved in with her parents for a week to sort out her feelings, and found out she did love me and not the other guy. Is that good enough to warrant me taking her back? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure that out. I'll make my decision over this week. As for the ring, I'm past it. I don't give a fuck about it or the money anymore. Edit 5, I've actually read every single comment on this post, and I appreciate all of you who have been supportive and given great advice aside from the people who are obsessing over the price. Unfortunately, it feels like it's going the way the people of Reddit are proclaiming. I'm probably going to end it soon. Edit 6, I think a lot of people are misunderstanding the engagement, and it's probably because I haven't been clear in my post. After 1.5 years we were having an exceptional time together and we both saw ourselves getting married at some point. I told her jokingly if we should get engaged, and she told me she wanted it to be done properly with a ring and at a time when she wouldn't know in advance, but that she would appreciate it if it happened sometime within 6 months. 6 months later I was sure nothing had changed because everything was still the same to me. We enjoyed ourselves and we were building a future together. When I got rejected at the proposal, I was utterly whiplashed because we sort of already agreed upon that we wanted to be engaged. I've been feeling sick all day since I posted this on Reddit. I couldn't even finish my shift at work today because I cannot distract myself from what is going through my mind. I concede, this was already doomed the moment I posted here. I realize that now. I guess I just needed subconscious confirmation or something. I feel sick to my core, but there is no other way of escaping it. Even though most people of Reddit seem to think she's horrible, I honestly don't carry any ill will towards her. I wish she communicated with me back when she was changing her mind, but after coming back from her break at her parents', she has tried to work on herself. Unfortunately, I think she broke something irreplaceable inside me on the day of the proposal, which I've tried to get over to save our relationship, but I'm conceding defeat because I cannot live with myself this way. Edit 7, I broke the news. Lots of crying from the both of us. She tells me that she loves me. She doesn't want to give up our relationship. I tell her I'm depressed and haven't gotten over the failed proposal. She says she couldn't control her feelings, but that she knows she loves me. I said it's for the best if she moves back with her parents, and she wonders for how long. I said I don't know, but at least for December most likely. She told me I could take as long as I wanted. My plan is to live my best life, and if I miss her still, maybe we could try again, if not, end it for good. For anyone thinking she's been cheating, she has not, nor do I think she will. Final edit. We've had a long difficult talk together and come to the conclusion that we are going to work through our problems together. For anyone dealing with relationship troubles, stay the fuck off Reddit. Most people on here are so bitter, they want to ruin everyone else's relationships as well. There are a couple of great people here with experience that made me sway the other way, as well as the conversation I had. Thank you.
Here's the next story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
I, 29M, feel bad for making my wife's, 28F, life miserable after her affair. Think it's time to forget and forgive? Wife wants more freedom 2 years after being caught having an affair. Backstory: about 2 years ago my wife decided to have a full-blown affair with her coworker. I actually had no clue until she slipped up and sent me a text meant for her ex-lover. It was something like, he's going to be gone with the boys all weekend for a camping trip. She realized that she messed up, but I pretended not to receive the text. Had my dad take my boys camping, so I could investigate. Anyways, I found her and her ex-lover at our house. Never confronted them, just collected evidence the entire weekend. I tailed the ex-lover to find out where he stays, turns out he has a whole family too. More backstory: Monday morning once my boys go to school I confronted her with all the evidence. I was expecting her to put up a fight, but she just broke down and admitted to the whole affair. The affair lasted for 8 months according to her. She begged me not to file divorce. I still loved her and was broken learning about the affair. She told me that she would do anything I wanted to keep our marriage. One of the main factors I decided to try and fix things was knowing that if we split she would probably go back to her hometown, which is 2 states away. It would be nearly impossible to see my boys if that happened. I would have fought tooth and nail for full custody, but no lawyer could promise I'd win. Restrictions: after doing a lot of research online I prepared my demands and list of restrictions for her. I made sure she fully understood that if she wanted to gain my trust back she had to follow these rules. With that I told her if she wanted a divorce I was willing to go down that route too. Told her she had to give me a fully written confession letter with all the details of her relationship with her ex-lover. She had to give a copy of the letter to her ex-lover's wife and apologize to her for destroying their marriage and family as well. She would have to find a new place to work at. As far as restrictions go, she has to have her location on at all times on her phone. Tracker installed on her car. All passwords and bank account statements, we have separate bank accounts, have to be shared with me. If she goes out with her friends, she has to check in with me every 30 minutes FaceTime. She's no longer able to see her best friend since she knew and supported the affair. She's not allowed to meet with anybody from work outside of work. No sex until I'm ready to try again. Her main reason for cheating was because I wasn't in the physical shape I used to be in. I agreed and lost 35 pounds, and took up boxing. Current situation, wife no longer wants to check in with me when she's out with her friends. She wants to hang out/go to lunch with co-workers, because she's lonely at work. Also, she wants to have sex with me. We haven't had sex since the affair. I just started to be able to kiss her. She wants to try for another baby, but I don't think I'm ready. The other night she had her hair done and put on a lingerie and heels for me, but for some reason I couldn't. She went to the bathroom to cry. I felt like garbage for ruining this beautiful girl, my wife. The sound of her crying still is messing with my head. Her best friend is getting married, and she wants to attend the bachelorette party in a few weeks in Vegas. I'm not sure what to do. I don't want my wife's life to be completely miserable. Then again, this is the friend that knew about the affair and supported it. My worry is if I keep these restrictions on my wife, she's going to regret her decision to stay. It's not like she's asking me to remove them. She asked me to consider it. As for the bachelorette party, she just told me about it. She never asked to go, but I know what she meant by telling me about it. I just want our marriage to go back to where we were. Enforcing all this is so tiring at the same time. I'm tempted to give her entire freedom back, but there'll always be something in the back of my mind telling me not to trust her.
Ready for more? Here's another wild one that'll blow your mind.
How do I, 30F, set boundaries in response to my husband's, 35M, restrictions on me? I cheated on my husband and D-Day was 10 months ago. My husband and I were having a really rough patch in our marriage. Husband was unsupportive of my master's program, that I funded, and made me give up my cat I've had for so long. The resentment built up so much, especially after failed conversations and anxiety, that I lacked the tools to address those issues in a healthy way, and instead cheated on him with a coworker I considered very close to me. I didn't even realize when I was feeling emotionally pulled towards him. All I remember is feeling good just talking to him and sharing my feelings, feeling heard and validated, experiencing happy hormones without even realizing, and not experiencing them when I was at home with my husband. So I chose the artificial high over him, when I didn't even intend to hurt him or cheat on him. All I remember is, one day, after a particularly bad fight in the morning, I had decided I don't want to choose him, and kissed my coworker and had sex with him. Immediately after doing the deed, I realized it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth being a shitty person. So I told my husband. He unleashed his wrath in such a way that it scared me. However, by that time I had mentally forgiven him for all the bad parts in our marriage before cheating happened. Maybe it was a way I expressed my guilt and remorse by silently being okay with how unsupportive he was, or when he made me give up my cat. So for few months I accepted whatever terms he set for me. I was to become a stay-at-home mom unless I find a remote job, never go outside alone, and if I had to, it's to FaceTime him every 30 minutes. He didn't feel secure me working from office and wanted me to find a remote job, which felt unfair because I had just earned my master's and didn't want to limit my options. But I still understand that he will take his time to heal from whatever damage I've caused. However, the worst thing I experience every single day is my alarm. My husband made me record my own voice saying, "I am a horrible person and an unfaithful wife who cheated on her husband and deserves no respect." So every morning I wake up to my own voice telling me the scum I am. This is impacting my mental health, but my husband insists putting this alarm as a punishment for wronging him for at least 3 years. Because I had an affair for 3 months. He absolutely refuses to go to counseling because he thinks counselor might try to make him accept things he doesn't want to accept or lessen the consequences he has for me. I just want to get rid of that alarm. I can accept other things, but I cannot imagine having that as my first thought in the morning for 2.5 more years. How do I set boundaries and communicate in a way that makes him listen to me? This is hurting me.
That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed these insane stories. Hit that like button and let's keep the fun going by subscribing. Catch you soon. Ooh, ah, ah.